This video is coming out of the worst advice that I see given on the internet. Maybe not the worst advice, but certainly the most horrible way to give it. This is whenever you see somebody asking online about playing something better with jazz, and then you get that standard answer, learn from the masters. Now don't get me wrong, it is super useful to check out solos by ear, and there are actually some things that you can probably almost only learn in that way, but answering like that without any context or suggestions, that's just so lazy that it's just bad advice. Any good teacher will give you suggestions on what solos to check out and how to get started learning by ear. And how do I know that? I know that because I asked a lot of teachers and their answer to this is in this video. So check out the rest of the video. There are a lot of suggestions on which solos to learn if you want to improve your jazz guitar playing and start learning solos by ear. My name is Jens Larsen. Learn jazz, make music. And one more thing. If you have a suggestion for a solo that we're not mentioning here, then leave a comment on this video, because I think this is something that's not covered enough and we could definitely use a solid list.
The solo I picked is Minor Swing by Django Reinhardt, the famous 1937 recording, the one that starts like this. This is a great solo to start with. It will teach you a couple of things. How to use chord tones over the chord you're playing on, and you have to know what chord you're playing on. So the chords are not too difficult. There are no crazy altered scales or anything. Also, above all, it will teach you how to swing. So just playing along with this solo will hopefully teach you how to swing. It makes sense to start with Django Reinhardt, I think, because he's one of the first real jazz guitar players. So that's why I picked this solo. I hope you enjoy that. I think you will enjoy lifting the solo.
Hey, how you doing? Justin here. The solo that I would recommend for people that are getting into jazz would be Miles Davis's trumpet solo from the song So What off the album Kind of Blue. It starts about 1.5 minutes in, and it is an incredible solo. It's a great kind of jazz gateway for somebody who's used to playing blues or rock, because it's a modal tune. The song is 16 bars of D minor, 8 bars of E flat minor, and then back to another 8 bars of D minor. Now, when you're transcribing that first solo of Miles, there's loads of great kind of jazz ideas in it. There's lots of space. The way he's simply using the C major scale. In this case, it's kind of functioning as a D Dorian mode. But it's a great introduction to how to do that, both in terms of the phrasing, the note choices, the way he's developing an idea. It's just an absolutely fantastic solo and a very, very easy one to work out. So I reckon you should have a go at doing that.
A solo that I would recommend for transcribing comes from a song called Gee Baby Ain't I Good to You. It was recorded by the Nat King Cole Trio in the mid-1940s. The soloist is Oscar Moore, a really great guitar player. I recommend this solo for 3 reasons. First of all, it's very melodic. If you listen to it 3 or 4 times, I think you should be able to sing along with it. That makes it a good candidate for transcribing. At the same time, the second reason I like this solo is that it's a little bit dangerous. So even though it is melodic, he sometimes goes in some unexpected directions. And even if you're just at a beginning or intermediate level, a little bit of danger should always be in your playing. It's not just about playing the right notes. And then the third thing about this solo that I think makes it great for transcribing is that it's very clear, the shape of it. There's a beginning, there's a very clear ending, and the stuff in the middle is just right.
Hi, I'm SandraSherman, and my recommendation is Paul Desmond's sax solo on Take 5 from the Time Out album with the Dave Brubeck Quartet from 1959. It has a lot of catchy phrases that can easily be memorized, and it teaches you how to use call and response motifs, rhythmic variations, and the art of rest. The entire solo is in E-flat Dorian and the minor pentatonic, which will make it really easy for you to hear and transcribe. It is also a very clear solo that does not use a lot of those sax glissando techniques, which makes it a lot easier for us guitarists to transcribe. What you can learn from the Take 5 solo is that it doesn't need an awful lot of notes, chromatics, or sophisticated concepts to make a jazz solo sound like jazz. Paul Desmond was one of the pioneers of cool jazz, and his solo on Take 5 is beyond cool. Give it a try, you can do it.
Hey everybody, this is BarryGreene from BarryGreene Video Lessons, and Jens Larsen was kind enough to ask me what I thought would be a great solo to transcribe as a beginner or intermediate jazz guitar player. And the solo that I always recommend is by Grant Green from the album Grandstand, which was done in 1961, the year I was born, by the way, at Rudy Van Gelder Studios. The tune on there is called Green's Greenery. It's just a B-flat blues, a simple riff-based blues. And Grant's solo is 3 choruses long. It is great because it involves a lot of just straight up blues language, which is going to be very accessible to you. And there are just wonderful moments of pure just jazz line playing. And by the 3rd chorus, there's a few moments of some fairly tricky rhythmic stuff. So it covers a lot of ground. And I think it's just a really great way to get started with this whole idea of transcribing. On another note, I do believe that this is the most beneficial thing you can do for your musicianship. I recommend not writing things down, even though we're using the word transcribe, to not write it down and just memorize the whole thing. Play along with the recording every single day. What you get from this is priceless, much better than 100,000 theory books that you would go and buy, because the things that really make a great musician sound great are the nuance, phrasing, tone, sound, time feel. These are all things that can't really be put into words. It's something you just have to kind of absorb by listening to the masters and playing along with the masters. So it's a great solo. I recommend you spend a significant amount of time getting into it, and then let the theory and everything else that you're learning support what you're figuring out as you learn Grant's solo. So that's it. Thanks very much for taking the minute to listen to the suggestion. Please visit my website. This is BarryGreene Video Lessons, and I offer a 7-day free trial where you have access to everything, and hundreds of video lessons and thousands of pages of PDF material. It's quite an awesome site. So thank you for listening, and Jens, thanks for having me. I really do appreciate it. Good luck, everybody, and I'll see you soon. Bye.
Hey guys, what's up? One of my favorite artists is Chet Baker. He's an amazing vocalist and trumpet player. And the solo that I want to talk about is his rendition for I Fall in Love Too Easily. This is a recording he released in 1954. And he's playing beautiful, beautiful melodies on that solo. It's not complicated, which I like a lot. And it really is a great challenge as a guitar player to transcribe non-guitar players. In that sense, transcribing piano players, vocalists, saxophone players, whatever it is, just not necessarily guitar, because then we learn a lot about the articulation. And with Chet and the trumpet, there's so many nuances in the dynamics. So he started this phrase. Even within that phrase, there's these micro dynamics, and then it goes. All these little things that he's playing are so beautiful. So dive in, check it out, and I think you'll find a lot of beautiful pearls in this solo.
One of the first jazz solos I often recommend my students learn first is Miles Davis's solo on Autumn Leaves. That's from Cannonball Adderley's Something Else album. Now, there's a few reasons. So first of all, Autumn Leaves is after a jazz blues, one of the first jazz standards I'd recommend students learn because it outlines 2-5-1s in minor and major. It also talks about relative keys. So those are important harmonic concepts that translate to hundreds of other jazz standards. But the main reason this is so accessible for beginners is because Miles plays very simply over these chord changes. You're going to learn how to use the melody of the jazz standard in your solo. Miles does this throughout the entire thing. You're going to learn how to use space. You don't have to fill up the entire song form with tons of notes like all of us are tempted to do. And you're also going to learn how to hit those most important notes, like landing on the thirds or landing on the sevenths, or outlining a particular tension note like the flat 5 in the 5 chord going to the minor 1 chord. These are important things that you really need to know in your jazz improvisation. Not hard to learn, and anybody can start learning it by ear.
What's up, everybody? This is MortenF. The first solo that came to my mind was Pat Metheny's solo on the tune Travels from the 1983 double live record named Travels by the Pat Metheny Group. It's a beautiful little solo that really feels like it's a part of the song as opposed to a soloist playing licks over chord changes. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but this solo is about mood and melodic development. and using time and space and really inviting the listener in. Technically, it's really easy to play and it really relates closely to the chord changes. So analyzing what happens related to the chords is a good lesson. Also, there's a really nice lick that I know for sure I stole and used a lot later, right when it goes from G to G7 to C right before and then to the B section. So have fun, good luck with that, and yeah, have a great day, see you soon, bye-bye.
Hey everybody! First off, I just want to say thanks to Jens for having me. Today, I'm going to talk to you about a super short and easy solo that would work well for a first transcription. The solo is from one of the all-time great jazz guitarists, Wes Montgomery, and is over the great standard I've Got a Crush on You from Nat Adderley's album Works On. The first and most important thing that you will get from learning this solo is a strong quarter note feel. You need to have a good quarter note to not only play with good time feel, but to play things such as 8th note lines, upbeats, triplets, 16th notes, and anything else. The next thing you'll learn from this solo are some essential guitarisms. Learning these shapes will give you instant access to lines without having a ton of jazz language under your belt. The last thing that you'll learn from this great solo is a strong sense of melody. Without developing an ear for melodicism, our improvisation will sound stale and boring. I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope you check out this amazing solo from Wes Montgomery.
A huge thanks to all the great musicians and teachers that are a part of this video. If you have a suggestion for a solo that we didn't talk about, please leave a comment on this video so we can start building that list. And of course, I didn't actually give any suggestions myself, so if you want to see a video on that, leave a comment on this as well. Besides working on learning solos by ear, then there are of course a lot of other things that you also want to start checking out if you're new to jazz. And you can check out this playlist if you want to see some videos on how to begin soloing over chord changes, playing jazz chords, or checking out arpeggios.